Hi everyone and welcome back to some Netracell runs. So, the first run we did was with Colo and Asaphane, both no forma installed and just some builds thrown together that are not that difficult to get. And as always, if you don't have certain mods, switch them out for their non-primed counterparts. For example, pressure point can be normal pressure point, right? You will still get a good amount of damage in. And yeah, this Colo build just focuses on pressing his 2 to generate Overguard, pressing his 3 to link together enemies, and either use the teleport mechanic of his 1 that will deal out heavy attacks, or to just heavy attack with your Asaphane as is, right? And yeah, it works very, very decently. And it's quite the active playstyle, right? So this is still chill though, because you have an easy way to generate Overguard just by pressing your 2 and having a couple of enemies around, right? So sure, the generation of Overguard, it takes a little bit of time and you need to keep an eye out on it. So that's what I mean by a little bit more active. Also, like watching where your 3 is casted and just keep track of, have you linked up a lot of enemies? Are they inside the circle? That can sometimes be a little bit difficult. And just, yeah, I did use a secondary kit gun from time to time to just shoot stuff, but mainly I did use the Asaphane. And I have to say, I mean, no forma, and most of the mods are quite easy to get, or at least easy to farm, outside of the primed mods, of course, where you're just at the mercy of Burrow Katir, right? And yeah, I would say this is a great loadout if you're starting out and you did do farm Duviri in the beginning of your playthrough, if you're a newer player, or if you just wanted to know if Colo is actually good at this. And he is, and it was quite chill, as I said. And yeah, so we did get a couple of shards out of this. We were quite lucky. Next up, I wanted to take a look at Rhino Prime. I did use one of the augments where you can just recast your Iron Skin, and I did use a Tenet Cyclone for this with 2 format. This is the build. Also, Cascadia Flare is on there, which I know, that can take a little bit of time. We did use a Saurus for this as well, just a 2 format build, and a 0 format build Nataruk, which it did work. I have to say it's a little bit more on the stressful side with Rhino, but keep in mind, I mean, you have your 3 as well, your Roar ability that gives you a decent buff as well, and you can just recast your 2 if you are on top of it. But this also goes into like the more active playstyles. I just really wanted to test different loadouts and how they would work and feel in this environment, right? And sure, if you're in a squad, you will not take all the fire, right? And it gets rather more chill with that. So if you're running those on public, Rhino and the Nataruk, definitely something that you can go for, right? So I think also a very good loadout. And yeah, as I said in the last video, like, Overguard generating frames are just so good in this content because you're so safe, right? You don't have to worry too much about the debuffs and stuff. And yeah, it is quite possible to run around with a good amount of Iron Skin. You can also go for the other augment for his 1, which will generate more Overguard, or even, yeah, just experiment with Rhino as well, right? This is just a very generic build for him, which I felt was quite cool and good to do. I did use a Tenet Cyclone from time to time, and it was just a good amount of fun, not gonna lie. So yeah, I can recommend Rhino for sure if you don't have anything else. As you see there, when you get fired at, when you're casting your 2, you get more Overguard, right? So that is really, really good to just cast your 2 while you're getting shot at. And yeah, pretty much all there is. Now, Wukong, on the other hand, was just here to test out again. I did do runs with him in the past, but I have to say, that's for me, he belongs more into a squad where he receives Overguard. That really just makes him an absolute beast. I mean, he is a monster in this as well, and yes, I'm using the turret for this run, I know. But yeah, I just wanted to see. Now, the traversal part, obviously you are quicker with his Cloudwalker, right? And this is pretty much just a Cloudwalker build. I don't think I've even casted his clone, which I should have, because, yeah, there you can see just Cloudwalker in action. Really easy to track down the stuff you need. And yeah, I have subsumed Roar onto him, right? So we are getting a damage buff, we are having fast reversal, which makes this definitely easier. I do believe I triggered like his passive like 2 times in this mission, which made me a little bit nervous, not gonna lie. Yes, it's on the cooldown and it will come back, right? But like, definitely a bit spicy, but just the traversal is pretty neat. But I still didn't manage to cut down on time too much because I played a little bit worse with Wukong. Next up, we have a Speed Nova. I had to change up my Speed Nova build. I had to try and make her more survivable. So the 4 augment is in there. The adaptation mod found its way into this, and here you can see the shards that I'm using. I'm using armor and health. Cast speed, which is really good, and just duration to cut down one of the duration mods. So we do have 90% DR most of the time, but with the amount of range you get from overextended, your 1 is gonna go and fly out. And I found it to be quite difficult with Speed Nova, I'm not gonna lie. It's mainly because I haven't played Speed Nova in a long while. I usually go for either neutral or slow Nova. But with the 4 augment, it is definitely workable. And also, like, Nova is always just fun, right? I just like to go in with Nova. I do like her a lot. But as I said, Speed Nova usually not the build I go for. Or if I go for Speed Nova, I tend to use her in a squad where we are coordinated and where we are talking about what we were going to do. Stuff like that really comes in handy with Speed Nova. Now, with more experience and stuff, I believe I could make this work even better. Obviously, the more you practice something, the better you get at it, right? So I might come back to Speed Nova at some point and just really try to dial in the runs to see how much quicker I can make it with a Speed Nova on the side, right? It is just speeding up the enemies tremendously, and that is a decent amount of help in getting missions done fast. It really depends on which tileset you get, where the Netracell is, how far away the little things you have to shoot from time to time are, and how the enemies behave. So there is also a lot of RNG in those runs, right? And sometimes you get just a very good tile, and you are it's very easy to do it fast, right? Or fast-ish. Now, for consistency, I went for the 3 terminals. I always went for all 3 of the terminals to keep it fair. And yeah, you don't have to do this. You can find the Netracells without hacking 3 terminals, right? It's just for the sake of consistency in these runs, I went and hacked all 3 of them within every single run. I think that's quite important to mention. So yeah, if you find the Netracell earlier at the vault, it's definitely not needed, right? So just wanted to mention that really quickly. And yeah, I mean, we will quickly get into the last loadout that I have tested, which is another just very chill frame to use for this. No overguard, but hey, Revenant is here with the Mesmer Shield Augment. So if I'm running in a squad, I can give my guys some Mesmer Skin Shards as well and give them a good amount of resistances if we don't have an overguard generating frame, which I rarely saw in public squads, that there was not one frame, either Styanax or like Dante, that will generate overguard for us. So yeah, I feel like that is also a very safe pick, right? Keep in mind with Revenant, while your 2 is up, you cannot die. Slash procs, toxin procs, electric, well, mainly slash and toxin procs are a big problem, right? Because they bypass your shield. And if you have your 2 up, you cannot drop below 2 HP. So keep that in mind. That is something that can come up in these missions sometimes. Yeah, it's just important to mention, right? So these are the 5 frames and loadouts that I used. Obviously, I did use the turret for like 3 of the 5 runs. That's just because I can. And I can only recommend the turret Incarnate to everybody. As always, just a really fun gun to use. Yeah, so after those runs, obviously the update did come out on Tuesday. I had a lot of fun going through that quest. I will not tell you anything about it though, I don't want to spoil the quest for anyone, and I'm glad I recorded all those runs before the update hit, so I had them ready and just, yeah, prepared, and there's no spoilers to be seen in this gameplay, which is cool. That will change for the future though. Just through the nature of the quest, we will have spoilers coming while going forward now, but that's okay. So during the runs, or like in between the runs, I did work on my syndicate rep, and yes, I finally was able to reach rank 5, which is quite awesome indeed. So yeah, I will be able to go for the Deep Archimedia, is it? Yeah, I think that's what it's called, right? So yeah, I will able to work on this in the future, which I am actually honestly excited about, and I want to see how this works and what I can get out of it. Alrighty, now that is pretty much it for today, so thank you very much for watching, guys, and as always, take care. Bye.